Hello class 7. We will continue with the chapter the landforms, and this is the second video on the chapter. So far you have learnt about the forces that help in the formation of the or that leads to the formation of landforms on the surface of the earth, and these forces have been divided into two. The first is the endogenous forces and the second the exogenous forces. We know that endogenous forces they work at the interior of the earth. That is due to the forces that may or that causes the disturbances in the interior of the earth that gives rise to landforms. And once the landforms have been formed, there are various agents like lack of weathering, running water, moving ice. They shape the landforms. So because of these two forces, that is endogenous and exogenous forces, we find landforms on the surface of the earth. That is, this constant shaping and reshaping of the landforms are going on. So on the basis of heights, appearances and features, we have divided the landforms as mountains, plateaus and plains. Today we will learn about the highest level of landform on the surface of the earth, that is the mountains. Now what are mountains? A mountain in your book has been defined as a landform that is of great altitude, that is more than 1000 meters from the sea. So those landforms which are above 1000 meters from the sea level, they are termed as the mountains. Clear? And how do we know it is the mountain? This landform is a mountain because of its great height or altitude. First. Second, we find that mountains consist of a series of rocky uplands formed by different processes and also at different times. These are gigantic in shape, size and height. The mountains are such landforms, they are huge in structure, that is, they are huge in shape, size and also in height, and they have very steep slopes. Their slopes are steep and they are of great size. Many high peaks and crests are found on the mountains, and they are so high that often we find that the mountain peaks are covered with snow. Now, there along with mountain, we find that also a series of landforms also associated with mountains are also formed. What we see that when mountains join together, that is called a mountain chain. When there is a series of mountains on the surface, we call that a mountain chain range. And example we can say is the Himalayan range. So the Himalayan range is an example of a mountain range, that is when a series of mountains are found on the surface. Again, sometimes what we find that from a highland, the mountains have radiated to different directions. That means there is a highland in between, and from there the mountains are ranging to different directions. This is called a mountain knot. That is the highland from where the mountains they radiate or they spread out in different directions or on all the directions surrounding that highland. It is called a mountain knot. Example, the Pamir knot or the Armenian knot. Again, we find that in between the mountain there is a V-shaped land which is called landform, which we call a valley. So it is, what is the mountain valley? That is a lowland lying between two mountains. A lowland that lies between two mountains, that is called a valley. Again, what we find? A narrow valley with a steep, almost vertical slopes is called a gorge. That is when there are two mountains and this gap is very narrow, that two sides are very steep. This kind of a mountain is known as a or this kind of a feature that is developed by the two mountains is called a gorge. So what we know, that mountain is a landform that is formed mainly due to the endogenous forces working within the interior of the earth. These highlands that we find on the surface, they are above 1000 meters above the sea level. From the sea level, they are more than 1000 meters. They are very huge, or they are gigantic in shape, size and height. We know that they are huge in structure, and they have pointed peaks. Most of the peaks, as they are very high, they are remain covered with snow, and we know that when mountains join together in a chain, that is called a mountain range. That is, when we find a series of mountains joined together, they are called a mountain range. Example is the Himalayan range. And when from a highland, when mountains radiate or spread in all directions, that place is called either it seems that they are going to different places, or they are coming out, or they are meeting at it. Either they look that from this highland they are going in different directions, or it seems that they are coming and meeting at this point. So that kind of a highland is called a mountain knot. Example, the Pamir knot. Another, we find that the lowland lying between two mountains is called a valley. A lowland lying between two mountains is called a valley, and the narrow valley with steep slopes is called a gorge. So that is a mountain, and mountains are formed uh, as a result of the endogenous forces and also exogenous forces. That means due to the combination of both the forces, or both the factors, we find that there are mountains on the surface of the earth. Now, what are these? How these mountains are formed? They are formed on due to various reasons. Like, some of the mountains are formed as a result of the folding of the layers of rock. Sometimes they are formed due to volcanic eruptions, or sometimes they are formed due to the faulting or cracks on the earth's crust. And once formed, they are shaped and reshaped by the exogenous forces. And then we find that there are also mountains that have originated due to continuous weathering of the previous mountains. So these are the reasons for which mountains are formed on the surface. The first one, that is due to mountains formed due to the folding of the layers of rock. Now this kind of mountains which are formed due to the folding of the rock layers, they are called fold mountains. From the name itself, we come to know that they are called the fold mountains. So we have fold mountains that are the result of the folding of the rock layers. Then we have the block mountains. What is the block mountain? That is a mountain that is formed due to the faults, or due to the cracks in the earth's crust. And then we have volcanic mountain. That is a mountain formed due to volcanic activities. And we also have residual mountain. So these are the four types of mountain that we will learn about in the chapter: fold mountains, block mountains, volcanic mountain and residual mountain. So in the next video, we will learn in detail how these four types of mountains are formed on the surface of the earth. And you have to remember the definition of the mountain along with an example. And also you have to learn about the mountain knots, the range, the valley and the gorge. This is given in more to know in your chapter. Do read it, because these are also important for you. Thank you.